Hi, my name is Rachelle Smith, entrepreneur, professional speaker, and author. Last time, I highlighted the importance of truth and recognizing that truth is not dead, okay, but it's up to us at leadership roles to keep truth alive because that's truly what helps companies reach the next level is truth and honesty and accepting and facing reality regardless of how tough that may be, all right? But as promised, I'm shifting gears now and going to be highlighting a very important concept from this classic management and leadership book by Jim Collins, Good to Great. First point is, good is the enemy of great. So folks, as leaders, and this, you don't have to have an official leadership title. Again, if you're a parent, you could be a CEO, you could be a coach, you could be a manager in corporate America, right? You could be an entrepreneur. You could be on the board of directors of a local nonprofit. All right, leadership, we're all leaders, hopefully, in some aspect of our lives, if not many aspects of our life. But it's important to note, as he states, that good is the enemy of great. So if we are willing to settle for good, great isn't even an option. And I think for many people, this concept of greatness, this concept of being an outlier, is so far removed from their thinking in terms of what's possible. They don't consider it a possibility. Good is good enough for me, and I'm willing to settle for good. But why settle for good when you can be great, is my question. But there's another highly important point. I mean, I could spend 6 weeks alone highlighting, creating episodes for this, just from this book alone. But I just wanted to highlight again the first point, that good is the enemy of great. But number two, this concept of who is working for your company or organization or business. And so he used the analogy, if you think about the example of, we've all been to school, we've all ridden on a school bus, we all know that experience, or again, any type of city, municipal transportation. But the concept remains, okay, the who is more important than the what. And so if you think about this again from a practical standpoint, you may say, okay, you may be a coach, you may be heading into perhaps your first coaching role, all right, or perhaps even it's at the college level, or even this is true for coaches at the professional level. But okay, they come on board, and in their mind they're thinking, okay, we want to have X number of wins, we want to make it this far in the tournament, we want to be national champions. Okay, that's the what. What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve? That is so important, because yes, without that, you're just running around aimlessly, just, wandering aimlessly, like I said, not making anything happen and not making concrete advancements and towards those goals. But the who is so important in terms of, okay, from again, that example of on the bus. If you're the bus driver, regardless of where you're driving, it's so important that you have the right people. And that's the who. That's the who component. The who is so important, and it's actually more important, according to Jim Collins, than the what. Because you can have the aspirations of being number one in your industry, or the national champions, the national NC2A champions, but if you don't have that who figured out and settled upon and worked out, then it's not going to happen. I mean, that's just no other way to say it. It's not going to happen. So that who aspect, when we think about it, you can break it down into 3 different ways. Again, bringing back to the bus driver aspect. Who is on the bus? Okay, who's on the bus? Do you have the right people on the bus to help you get you from your dreams and your goals to making them a reality? Do you have the right people in your organization, in your business, on your team, whatever the case may be? Who is so important? Who's on the bus? Number 2, all right, if you recognize through research, performance reviews, again, customer feedback, member feedback, anything like that, do you have any of the wrong people on your bus? Do you have the wrong people on the bus? If you've got the wrong people on the bus, then you've got to get those wrong people off the bus. And I utilize the example of Jack Welch's management philosophy and how, again, you were either a performer or you weren't a performer. And if you didn't perform, you were gone. So yearly, again, that those bottom 10% in terms of performance within a company were gone. That was no secret. So, but again, you think about that from Jim Collins' standpoint and that framework from being good to great, that 10%, okay, those were the wrong people. They don't need to be on the bus. All right, and so it's important to evaluate your company, your business, your organization to say, Do we have the right people on the bus? Okay, then if we figure out we've got some wrong, we've got to get the wrong people off the bus. Lastly, get the right people into the right seats. All right, and this is so important because if you have people, again, as nice as they may be, as much as you may love them, as much as you may have known them for the last 30 years and just don't want to hurt their feelings, don't want to rock the boat, but having people in the wrong roles in any organization, any corporation, is a recipe for disaster. I mean, these things can end very badly because, again, when people aren't living up to their potential, when people aren't maximizing their potential, there's many cases frustration, resentment, and then the passive aggressiveness comes in where they become minimalists and do the minimal amount of work possible just to keep their jobs. But it's so important to have the right people in the right seats. So important. And we think about why professional teams, whether again it's the NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, all right, WNBA, why do they spend so much time on the recruiting aspect? Again, they want the right people. Again, you can't have someone saying, okay, well, trying to get recruited into the NBA, okay, if you're 5'2" and you're aspiring to play center, that there's just no seats available for a 5'2" male to be on an NBA team as a center. And so, but that's an example why certain organizations, particularly those that are great organizations, have very, very strict parameters in terms of who needs to be in what seat, because they don't want people failing. And folks, and I can tell you from being undercover, this is something that I see, particularly with salespeople, where, again, whether it be a franchise and, the franchisee is just so happy to get somebody to work in sales and they don't screen the person has never worked in sales before. And I'm interacting with this person thinking, they have no confidence. They can't ask, they're not assertive, or what I also see a lot of is very weak product knowledge. All right, they don't know their product very well. They don't know how to sell against competitive products. And I'm actually going to devote a future episode here pretty soon to the importance of competitive intelligence and competitive analysis in terms of how to move your business and your corporation forward. That is essential, but that's a weakness that I see amongst salespeople. And quite honestly, there's people in these sales roles who don't need to be in these roles. And it's something I see this very often because they just, again, don't have the courage, don't have the confidence to put themselves out there and be assertive, to ask, to close, to ask for the business, to call me, to cause me to take action. They just don't have it. People either, and that's something that can certainly be developed, but I would also argue, I spent 3 years as a member of Detroit SHRM, which is Detroit Society for HR Management, and I was mentored by some wonderful people, some wonderful HR, human resources minds here in Metro Detroit, and I'm just so grateful to those folks who pour their knowledge and their wisdom and their insights and experiences into me, because this is, again, is part of what I do, employee assessments, employee development, things like that. And so it's so important, again, from the hiring, from the recruiting phase, to really think about, again, what is a successful person in this particular seat, whether it be accounting, whether it be sales, whether it be operations, whether it be janitorial, whatever the case may be, you've got to have the right people in the right seats. Because if you've got people, and we think about you always see these statistics every year that just show how the majority of workers, again, are minimalist and are disengaged in the workplace and just feel like there's no hope in terms of advancement and whatever, but they don't have the courage or the confidence to pursue another job or to go in a different direction, so they just hang in there at the same place, drawing a paycheck and not moving things or themselves forward. But again, if you've got people that are in the right roles based on their strengths, based on their passions, based on their interest, that is so obvious. And that is also something that I see. I don't see it often, but that is certainly something when people are operating in the sweet spot, there's nothing, they're just unstoppable. They are passionate, they're enthusiastic, they're happy, they love what they do, they radiate customer service, they radiate excellence in all that they do. But again, you've got to have people in the right seats. Got to have people in the right seats. Okay, I started my career out in marketing. I love marketing. Marketing will always be part of what I do. Okay, but marketing in that corporate setting where I'm tied down, in office every day, having meetings and doing strategic planning meetings for 12, 18 months out, where you got to have this table full of people from different departments to make a decision, that was just the pits for me. All right, that was not the right seat for me. All right, sales was a much better seat. because I was free. I was able to act independently and autonomously and make things happen and drive results. That was a better seat for me. That was the right seat for me. Out with customers, making things happen. That was the right seat for me. So that's an example. All right, but we all know when we've been in a job that we hated it or it just didn't work out. All right, but I would argue, and this is something again, not just for leaders to assess putting people in the right seats, but I would also argue employees. Are you in the right seat? Entrepreneurs and small business owners, are you in the right seat? Okay, not everyone wants to lead. Not everyone can manage. All right, you'll see that in many cases, and I see this with franchises. They'll put in a strong manager because they don't want to deal with the day-to-day. All right, or they don't want to deal with the conflict, and they don't want to deal with managing employees, particularly those that are top organizations, top franchises, top companies. They have very high standards, and you will oftentimes have a leader or an owner who just doesn't want to, again, ruffle feathers, have people get mad at them, hold people accountable. That is not for everyone. In many cases, they will hire a no-nonsense person to lead and to handle that, and that's certainly something that I do see. But you've got to have the right people in the right seats. And for those of you who are employees, you have to ask yourself that question. It's part of the reason why, absolutely, the reason why you're probably unhappy at work. Are you in the right seat? Are you growing? Are you developing? Are you evolving as an employee? And so that's something as leaders that is so important. These three concepts of who is on your bus, who's on your team, who's in your organization, who's in your division, who's in your corporation, who's working in your franchise, because that will make or break you. There's no other way for me to put it. If you've got the wrong people, again, figuratively speaking, if you've got the wrong people on the bus, you can drive it all day and night. You're not going anywhere, and I can promise you that. But if you take your time, if you evaluate, if you create standards and expectations and responsibilities, and again, formal structure around hiring in each position, you will recruit great people. You will recruit great people, and again, your company will go from being good to great. That's the same thing that happened again with Jack Welch and General Electric that I highlighted last time. Very good company, very historic company in the United States, but he took it from good to great. But again, there's always, you've got to think about the who. Who's working for you? Who's on your team? That's truly a key ingredient to success, and absolute detriment to your success if you've got the wrong people on your team. So take your time, do things right, get the right people on your bus, and get ready to experience a level of success you've never experienced before. Are you ready? Thanks so much for your time, and get a wonderful day.